Attention terrorists, hold on. Here's Tara's Daily Rant.
Joe Biden finally forced to shoot down that Chinese balloon. Didn't want to do it. Real painful. The Biden administration knew about this, but they tried to keep it quiet because they didn't want it to affect their trip to China.
Yeah.
In other words, they were totally cool with the Chinese knowing that the Biden administration knew that China was mocking us. They didn't care. They were down with that. That was fine. They wanted to get to China. They wanted to go hang out with their Chinese friends is what was going on. I'm going to explain why that was. There's a massive grift going on right now, probably the biggest Biden grift of all, which is amazing given the scrutiny Biden's grifts with the Chinese have come under. And that, I'm telling you, that is why they didn't want this scuttled. When you look at who is involved here, okay, Anthony Blinken, Anthony, as he says his name, he spells it Anthony, our Secretary of State, wanted to get over there so damn bad, man. He wanted to get there bad. Who is Anthony Blinken? What was he doing before he was Secretary of State? Oh, he was taking one of those big fat salaries, 100% Chinese funded, at the Penn Biden Center. He was the manager of the Penn Biden Center. What's the Penn Biden Center? The Chinese donated over $100 million, tens of millions of it anonymously, so we don't even know exactly who it came from. And we now know that 33 pallets containing over 1,800 boxes were stored there. Who was the manager again? Who'd have been letting people in and out of the Penn Center? Who'd Buck stop with? Our Secretary of State. Who was the manager on paper anyway? Did he ever actually do anything, show up full time for that job? No, he had the same gig as Biden. Made a huge 6-figure salary. Biden made 7, and they did nothing. They showed up. They did nothing. Biden never showed up to teach a class. He didn't either. He was on campus, but very rarely. So this is a guy, Lee, who was on the Chinese payroll. This is a guy whose home should be raided for classified documents. Unfortunately, he is serving as our Secretary of State, and that's who wanted to go over and meet with the Chinese. So you got to understand, they want to go. Joe Biden and John Kerry are in the middle of their biggest ever Chinese grift. It was last week. I don't know if you remember this. The single most important mine in this country, period, full stop, end of memo, is in the northeastern corner of Minnesota. It's got massive coal reserves, but what else it has is 88% of our cobalt reserves, a third of our nickel, and a third of our copper. That you cannot understate how important that mine is to America for 3 reasons. Number one, EVs, all this stuff we want to build, the solar panels, the EVs, but most importantly, defense technology and our tech, our phones, all of it. We need those minerals. Joe Biden put that mine off limits for 20 years, right? Remember the story last week? I'm talking about it. You're thinking, how does this connect to the balloon? Why are you talking about this? You'll see. What other story broke last week? I featured it prominently in the Insane Things podcast. John Kerry got caught last week in China, secretly cutting a deal with the Chinese to do what? Buy the same minerals, chiefly cobalt, in the mine Joe Biden just shut down. So he takes American minerals away from us for 20 years by using these, the big enviro lie, got to save the environment. He turns around and last week, John Kerry gets caught. They didn't want you to know, cutting this secret deal with the Chinese. Who's the two of the top 5 producers of cobalt on Earth have more than anybody else, besides us, since ours has been taken off the market? Russia and China. The two countries that have given the Bidens millions. In fact, Lee, $31 million is the total for the 5 known deals Hunter Biden has done with the Chinese or Chinese Communist Party entities. $31 million. This was their biggest grift ever. and it's the same players. Well, what's John Kerry doing this? Why is John Kerry doing this? Do you remember who Hunter Biden's partner in Rosemont Capital is? Rosemont Capital is the parent company for Rosemont Seneca. Who was that? It'll come to me. Oh, Chris Hines. Who's Chris Hines? John Kerry's stepson. John Kerry has done a marvelous job of escaping the scrutiny that Biden has come under. It's almost baffling, really, since Chris Hines has been there every step of the way on all these grifts, right? This is their biggest grift ever. And when you look at who is involved in this meeting, it is the Secretary of State who ran the Penn Biden Center, whose home should have been raided months ago. Because of that, he needs to be on the hot seat in front of Congress right now. You were the manager of the Penn Biden Center. You took money from the Chinese via the Penn Biden Center. That was your main source of income. Who did you let in that building, sir? Because there were 1,800 boxes and 33 pallets of stuff, a lot of it from Biden's tenure as a senator, which is illegal for him to have classified data. We know there's classified data in there, probably a treasure trove of it. Who did you let in that building, sir? Or were you so absentee you didn't know who came into that building? And you were just taking the money full stop from the Chinese. And you're in an awful hurry to get over there. Why? Because they just cut the deal, Lee. The biggest theft from the American people ever. Last week. They wanted to seal it. They wanted to seal it.
Terrorists want it. Hear the Terra Show weekday mornings on 106.3 WORD and the Odyssey app.